I live vlog for March 9th, 2022. I think I don't remember what day. It's been like a few days since I've done my vlog because I'm lazy. Too much working. See, whenever I get to a point in my working where I'm like, oh shit, like I have to cruise back up to 33,000 feet and go into cruising altitude and kind of go into hibernation and just be like, well, let's fucking do this. Like, you have to like hammer, because you get involved in something that's super time consuming and maybe like not necessarily like worth all the time or whatever. So, project I'm working on now is the rivers of Boulder County that I got off of the Boulder County website, but they never organized it. And it's like at least 5,000 files for just the plains, and they have them broken up into little bridges and little everything. And I just wanted to have it because I got it, and I really loved what I did with the actual rivers, and because then I can make color-coded maps of the drainages, which will expand the conception of it. I can't wait to look at it when I do it all the color coding and even figure out maybe the best ways to do that, layered color coding. But maybe even do it with flats too, based off of the contours of the streams. Be able to color code, illustrate where the hills are and the contours of everything. Be really interesting for Strava on the flats too. But so I drew the data, highest, lowest, average gradient when I could, but in length of the rivers in the mountains. But then now I got involved with like the way time consuming thing. And here's the thing that's just like crazy time consuming. And so this is why I wanted to like kind of like go into hibernation mode. Maybe like that's why I didn't do video for a few days. I think that's why, like, subconsciously go into hibernation, just forget about it and just kind of go for a few days. Because all of these rivers and ditches, and it's complicated because I wanted to do rivers and ditches in different folder, but I'm gonna eventually, because I was gonna use the rivers files of the river for to then expand it and make rivers for when it was before. I don't know. Maybe I'll research and find a book. Maybe they've written a book about it. But I was watching a video on YouTube a couple years ago. He's doing the Google Earth of Boulder and saying that these big rivers, St. Vrain River, Boulder Creek, were like really big when the settler days on 1800s, because before they had diverted all of it and with all of the canals, and so you couldn't even cross the rivers in your wagon. You had to go to a certain crossing, and there were only two crossings on the St. Vrain Pella crossing and somewhere else. Pella crossing is like just northeast of Longmont, and there are those lakes there, and somebody saw some beavers there last year, but because it was just those rivers. But then you see evidence with Google Earth of like rivers that had been there since before, more than 100 years ago, before they built the ditches. So I'm just trying to imagine what were ditches and like what were them before, because when I'm done with this, I'm going to make a file that shows all the original rivers, what they were before. And I'll do it based off of this. But for now, I'm trying to have separate folders on the flats for the ditches, and then for the actual like ditches that were made out of rivers. The rivers turned into ditches. It's a really interesting way to look at history of Boulder County. How they, because I was doing that with like ancient, Europe and Italy. You look at like the fields that used to be lakes, like the Fucine Lake in central Italy, and other lakes. You can see them, and how thousands of years later the water dries up, and how river basins turn into fields. But you can do the same thing with here. In the same way, like you can see how that used to be a river, then used to was a marsh, and then they turned a marsh into a field. Now it's a really nice green field. So yeah, I'm gonna try to draw in like where maybe the marshes were, marshland and rivers, and with the rivers, draw it out as much detail as I can, because I already have the ground level plugged up. I make the ground level just look like pre civilization, but it doesn't really. It's not complete unless you have it with the lakes and the rivers. So just for the last few days, I've just been copying and pasting all these gazillions of files. And that was after, this was just after when I got started. I think overall it's probably at least 10,000 files. I should email them and be like, hey, does anybody know how many freaking files are in there? When I'm done, I'll probably email them to let them know what I did. But, and if you do it wrong, it crashes the program. And if the program crashes, it doesn't save. I crashed the program maybe like at least 3 times. I think at least 4 times in this particular file. Streams and Rivers of Boulder I'm working on. It's actually on my website, Google Earth. My website education page, and then down there on Google Earth on the bottom. It's the streams and the lakes, and I finished the lakes the other day, and then I'll work on the pages when I'm done with this, but it'll be like super straightforward. I don't know how far to go and how much it is, because this is kind of hard to know how much exactly, because all I could do is scroll down. So, I did count it at one point to see how many I went up. As much as you can see it about 50, and I would do another number, and did that until 101, so that was 5,000, I heard. Because 50 times, 100 times 50 is 5,000, so, and that was, after I had already been doing it a little bit, so, how did I get, so, like, I'm like, good. See, one reason that I was like willing to do this, because I totally wouldn't have been willing to do this like last year or a couple of years ago. I think I remember looking at this when I first got it off the internet like a couple of years ago, and I was like, and I busted it open, and I'm like, whoa. Because I was probably at first like, oh, this is cool. Like, let's like finish their job for them, and like name all these rivers, until I was like, oh shit, there's like 10,000 files in there. You can't name it because it's little bits and pieces. And I was like, fuck this, I ain't touching this ever. That's probably what I was thinking. I think I vaguely remember thinking that. But now, because I'm different now, I was like, oh, this is annoying. I can't stand to have this disorganized. I'm going to organize. I don't care how long it takes, but I think I can do a few days anyway. Because, like, I'm like, you just do Control X, click it, and you have to have the mouse working fast, and the mouse else doesn't quite work fast enough on the 70-inch TV. So I just put the screen on my chest, and I didn't want to do that in the beginning because it makes me go blind. I think in April last year, it made me go blind. I was like, I thought I was going to have to ride my bike. That's when I had to try that for a month or something, because I thought I was going to have to, because I'm going blind. But I think because I started exercising when outside, my eyes healed a little bit, and then I started using the TV again for a long time, and my eyes healed. So now I can afford to put it back on my chest, I guess until it burns out my eyes. But I turned the brightness way down on it. I have to have it on my chest, because that's where the mouse has like really fast response. And I need the response to be really fast, because like now, instead of doing like educational stuff, now I'm straight up playing like a video game. It's like gazillions. It's like there's all these like rivers and ditches everywhere. They're made out of a gazillion files. And so I just have to go click here, Control F, Control X, and then click on the one that I know that's in the right folder. Control V, Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V. Make sure I'm getting them all. And then when I fill up and I don't remember, like my memory fills up and I don't remember, it's like Simon Says, I don't remember which ones are the old ones and which ones are the new ones. Just want to go over here and I unclick on the folder so that you can't see them in that folder. And then I click on, because all the ones that need to be filed are you can see them. So then I go and I go out and I move over, okay, and I look and okay, that's one. So then I click it. But then there's not another one to click on to put in the right folder. So then I just go over here. It was no big deal. Put it in there. And I do it again. Click, 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 click. Just over again. Just. But the problem is there's a catch. Like, I have to click it with the mouse first. Like, I can't just mouse over it. If I mouse over it and then Control V, it crashes the program. So like, I go over here, I click it, and I put it on. And I think at least when you do it on the left side. So I click. I'm supposed to click it first, and then Control V. And so I went over there and I hit like I just moused over it, and without clicking it, moused over. I could Control F. And so that happened 2 times yesterday. And luckily for me, I think both times yesterday, it was like not very long after I saved it, because I've gotten into the habit of just saving it like every 5 minutes. Because like I would go and look in an area and I would just go in and fill up this folder of like maybe more than 50, because like more than what it takes in the whole screen, like maybe 7,500 files. Collapse the folder and then go and save it. And then go do it again, like every folder, every 5 minutes. So when it crashed, yeah, both times, I think it was less than 5 minutes of work or whatever, but a few days before that, it crashed once or twice, and it was like more work than that. It was like the first time it happened. First time in a long time. It was maybe like a half hour. It was like an hour of work, I think, or a half hour work or something, I don't know, but yeah, it was like reels, and so I was like, fuck that, don't let this happen again, so. And then it happened 2 times yesterday, and then it crashed today. And when it crashed today, that was after like, yeah, maybe like not that much work too, luckily. So, maybe like 10 minutes or something, 5 or 10 minutes. So, so yeah, I'm just trying to stay focused. I'm smoking a lot of weed, about to run out of weed. So I think I'm gonna buy more when I run out. Left enough cash in my checking. I bought more movies. Bought enough movies to fill up a shelf on my case, and maybe 2 shelves when I'm done, when they all come in. And I finally got headphones for my Xbox, which plays my movies, because I wasn't able to watch the movies because I didn't have the headphones, and so that was cool. Set that up today. And then they even have a hole where you can plug in other earphones, so I could like watch movies with my mom, just plug in the other earphones into them. But watching the Ukrainian war. If you feel really bad about the Ukrainian war, I think one way that you can help without giving money, if you can't do that, is just educate yourself on what's going on. Like educate yourself on Putin. I was watching this thing on PBS channel called the Putin Files. I think that's a spider bite. If I wait a few days, it'll probably be it. But I probably won't be able to wait a few days. But these Putin files are like one of them's 2 hours, 21 minutes, like an hour and 1 minute, usually an hour and a half of interviews with all these like the journalists who know the most about Russia, Basha, I guess, and then a bunch of like people in presidential administrations who are saying everything about Putin. So it's fascinating. I can't remember the names of them right now, but yeah, I'm watching all of them. Yeah, and like explains Putin. Putin's crazy. The reason that there was the invasion is because number 2 reasons. Putin has absolute power, and yeah, like the Russians don't know anything. They're all like in the dark. Oh yeah, and Putin's crazy. That's the other reason. He has absolute power and he's crazy because he's a brainwashed KGB agent. So, yeah, I should try to do the video again tomorrow. I was like, when I first started going on this project with the streams and rivers of Boulder County, I was like, okay, fuck. All right, well, I know that this is going to take, like, this has a potential to, like, be like quicksand, just, like, gobble up my time, which every once in a while that happens. You fall into something. I remember a couple years ago I fell into a situation like that where where I was like, and I hope I didn't lose these files or anything. God damn it, I need to go and look and make sure. But I made like, okay, so I made like a list of like the 400 mountains from Boulder, and I think I thought I made a list of ones in Boulder County, but I can't find them. I could have sworn I made a local list. But yeah, but going out throughout the entire like Boulder Roman Republic, all throughout Colorado, and also like what you could do what mountains that you could do like in a day or something, or within a certain space from here, on like 400 of them, because I wanted it to go to 400 mountains, because that was how many, to represent how many people were in the elite, like that's usually the average of how many ancient Roman senators there were, how many people in charge of in the Communist Party in China. I think that's how many, like, yeah, the Forbes 400. How many like billionaires are in America, whatever. So traditionally, I I well, yeah, I was like drawing the like trails up all of them, like looking through the trees and drawing the exact trails. Because Google Earth, maybe they do it now, but they didn't have. In fact, I see around here they have it, but they didn't have the trails lined up to get to the top of the mountain. So I was like looking through and making it myself. It's crazy, and it went on forever. And I was like, what am I doing? So like this is kind of like that. So when I was looking at it, I was like, oh my God, like how long is this gonna take? So I was like, okay, let's just like not think about it and work for a few days, and then. So anyways, hopefully, but I can see it's going away. I don't think I'll finish today, but yeah, I think I'll finish it tomorrow finally, with these flats files, and then I'll go and finish the mountain ones, which is the main reason I got it, and because I did the files on these rivers, but they're in sections, and I did all the data for all the sections, but if I'm going to do for the actual like gulches, the actual areas that I want, I have to paste them together and draw it myself. So I have to do that for a bunch of them. I don't know how many, but that's one thing I have to do. And then I get going on the color coding. I guess tomorrow, hopefully, if I can finish that tomorrow, the color coding of all of the different drainages in the mountains here, which is going to be super interesting, because the way that it's all designed is just beautiful, because I'll do it the way that it looks on the screen. So like my left will be your right. So like over here, which is going to be my, actually I can't, I'll do it my way. Over here we have, actually I guess it does work. Over here you have the mountains. This is the west. And here's the plains. And so like with Boulder County, it's like right in the middle. So that's cool. I love symmetry. I'm all about symmetry. But then the rivers, and then the mountains are like perfectly up and down here, like perfectly north and south. But then when the rivers go out, you have these big river basins, these big creek, I guess they call them creeks, canyons, but they go perfectly west towards the east into the plains, and then kind of converge into big rivers as they go east. And but they go perfectly west. So like when you draw in the color coded drainages, they look like perfect rectangles on top of each other. So you have St. Vrain, North St. Vrain, South St. Vrain, Left Hand Creek, Boulder Creek, South Boulder Creek, just like this. And so just to look at it all color coded, and then like imagine that like from the bicycling perspective, adventuring around, and then seeing like memorizing exactly where all the drainages are is like going to be fascinating. So that's going to be cool. Color code that, and that'll be like another at least 2 days, But whatever, I don't care. Because like I've reached cruising altitude, so to speak. That's what I call it, of my website working because of my mom. And another reason I've been making really good progress with my website lately, this new project, because I've been hanging out with my mom a lot, because we've been going on a lot of walks and bike rides. We went to hike up a up the trail towards Mount Sanitas, halfway up the flat part yesterday, and I was just in my room all day today. Oh man, I was just about to say something. God damn it, lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so she's been giving me a hard time about like, don't work on your website anymore. You work too much. You need to start doing the whole bike thing. But I'm like, her idea and my idea are different, and so I realized that because I've had a bunch of false starts over the last few years, and I'm like, okay, because I'm like, I can do it. I can try to get back in shape and stuff, but then I do it like full force. Like, let's do it like you're a pro athlete. You like do it all the time. The problem is she's always like, as soon as I start, she's like, okay, time for you to get a job. Go get a job though. And I'm like, no, but you don't understand. I'm like motivated to just ride my bike all the time. It's a great way to live. It's passionate. Why would I just get a job? I don't even need the money. Why would I get a job? And then she'll say, what are you doing riding so much? Don't ride so much. Like, that's overkill. So I guess she's doing manipulative tactics. Is when you're like, you tell somebody you want to do something for a reason, but the real reason is another totally different reason. So she's telling me she wants me to get back in shape so that I can get back in shape and live a more balanced life and get back in shape. But what she really wants is me to just live a normal life, not like be healthy, physically healthy, and like work towards that goal of fitness, but just to be like a normal person. That's all she wants. So she wants me. So it's annoying as hell. I have enough challenges that I have to deal with. I don't need her chatter like demotivating me, because it takes 3 months to create dendrites in your brain, reprogram your brain, and it's such a different lifestyle that I get insomnia. I don't sleep. Like this summer, I tried to ride my bike for 6 days. I rode my bike for 6 days inside in October-ish, I think, and I didn't sleep. And when I quit finally, because I was going to work on my website again, I didn't sleep for 2 nights, more than 2 nights. I just didn't sleep because my body was like, what was that exercise stuff? And so I can't sleep during the night when I'm trying to get in shape, but I have to be diurnal because I'm trying to get in shape, and I can't ride at night because I live in an apartment and I have my neighbors complain. So it's really complicated and like difficult. And if I have a website that I'm working on, and I'm just laying there with insomnia all the time, it freaks me out. I'm like, well, I'm wasting my time. I have to work on my site again. So for my mom, on top of that, every time I talk to her, I'd be like, hey, it's time for you to get a job. Don't do that anymore. Oh, and then she also, and then she's like, oh, sell your bike. And it's like, wait, you want me to sell my bike? But I'm riding my bike. That's another thing she does. Since I start training, she's like, sell your bike. I'm like, wait, what? You mean the bike I rode? That's like crazy. So anyways, I decided to create it's a contract. Whenever somebody gives you flack or tries to manipulate you or bothers you or whatever, just make them sign something. So, she really wanted me to do that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So you need to sign this. So I actually drew it out. And the piece of people, I said 3 rules. So 3 rules. Don't tell me to sell my bike. Don't tell me to stop riding my bike because that's like too big of a ride, or I did it yesterday, so, and then don't tell me to get a job, those 3 things. And so she bothered me again. This was like basically like an inoculation. This shut her up quicker than I could ever possibly imagine. Because next time she bothers me, she's like, hey, stop with the website, go ride your bike. Eek. And I'm like, oh, okay. Sign the 3 things. She's like, I ain't signing shit. And I ain't signing that. First she said, well, I don't believe that. No way, I can't promise to that. She actually said she wouldn't even promise. Like, she would tell me that, she would start saying that if I start riding my bike. And then that turned into, I ain't signing nothing. And then that turned into, she's just not bothering me anymore. So that's what I say from now on. Because when I'm working all the time, And I'm like, yeah, and then maybe I go over there and I'm like, and I yawn or something, or like I groan or whatever, or she gets nice to bother me. Hey, get out of here, man. Ride your bike. I'll be like, oh yeah, okay. No, I just go, sign the three agreements. That's what it's called, the rewritten. She goes, no. And I'm like, okay. Stop yapping at me then. Stop repeating the same thing to me. Are you a dog? Oh, ow, 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 ow. Just yapping at me. Shut up. That's another thing manipulative people do. They just ask you over and over again. Hey, ask you over and over again. So that's how you shut them up. Because you try to work with them. You go, okay, yeah, I can work with you. I'll do what you want, but it'll only work for me if we do it within these parameters, which are really hard for manipulative people to work. Work under parameters and stuff. But if you draw a thing and you make them sign it, and fucking film them sign it, they'll back out real quick, stop bothering you. So anyways, that allows me to stay on cruising altitude and just work on this and forget about the outside world. No yapping chatter from the outside world. Judgment, because she's also kind of like a conduit of judgment. I'm like Putin. Putin doesn't want too many people around him who are going to tell him what he doesn't want to hear. I need my mom around me constantly reminding me, hey, your life is fucked. Everything's fucked. Your thing's fucked. Stop it. You're never going to finish. It's stupid. Nobody cares. It's like, oh, okay, well then sign the 3 agreements. Oh yeah, whoops, ips. So it's the 3 agreements. So I'm listening to these Putin files, which is really interesting. And as soon as I'm done, and of course watching the Ukrainian war all day long, which is totally like distracting me watching it. But of course, I feel like, oh my God, this is like awesome because he's getting his ass kicked. Then he'll get toppled, and then you can replace him, hopefully, with a new generation that's not connected to like KGB, Cold War brainwash. And then it'll be like a normal country, and then we'll be able to fight off China when they try to take over Taiwan. And then we'll have world peace, and then I won't have to retool my world timeline because there's new countries all over the place. So but when I'm done listening to that stuff, I'm going to go out to this book called Generations by Strauss and Howe. It's like 23 hours long, and it's like, because that's the next project after all this Google or fixing stuff, which will take like 6 months probably. So hopefully, so the first half of the year will be Google or stuff. Second half of the year is going to be doing the generations on my timeline, and then the 3,800 data points of civilization book that I got from that Russian writer, Khrushchev, I can't remember. So that's for the second half of the year. So that's my year. And then the final year of my 40s, the year of 2023, that'll be the year where I think tie up the loose ends and finally get my website to a stopping point where I can, maybe by then I'll have enough money to buy a mountain bike. And I emailed my brother this morning because a couple months ago, like my roommate gave me this Klein mountain bike from the 80s that has the same exact paint job as my time trial bike that I got a couple of years ago. It's like fire. It's like red on the bottom and yellow on the top. And then I bought all these jerseys and T-shirts of like Flame, and then I got my hair looking like Flame, and then I kind of call myself Blaze, and that's like my when I'm an athlete, my superhero name, and so everything, it's all about fire because I burned the house down, and so I'm just like living fireball, and so my bike has a paint job of fire. But my roommate gave me a bike, a mountain bike, a top of line Klein mountain bike from the 80s that had that exact paint job. But the problem was, like, in a moment of like not thinking, I gave it to my brother because I was like, I just didn't want to have clutter because like I live in an apartment, and but then last night I was like, fuck, dude, because when I get the money to buy a mountain bike, I want to get it because I'll just get the same bike as I got a Specialized, the same company, and I'll be like, hey, can I get it with the same paint job as the other bike? Maybe I get the same paint job. So then not just my jerseys and my T-shirts and everything are like Flame, but all my bikes. And I already have 2 bikes that are like that. My old mountain bike, which I will use as like a wintertime around the town bike, but I think I'll spruce it up and make it my my 26-inch like bike to go for 26-inch Stravas or whatever, like more like BMX types trails or whatever. So, because I eventually want to have like a bike for every different kind of terrain. So I emailed him or I texted him if I could trade the main mountain bike that I have now, especially stump jumper, for his, and he said he still had it, he could. So I was like, all right, cool, because I was afraid he had like given it away or something. So anyway, ooh man, half hour talking for a half hour. That's what happens when I don't do a video for like a week. A lot happens, you know, and then yeah, so that's what I'm up to. This is just crazy. I mean, but I did create, since the last time I did a video, I did create the link on my education page, on my education page on my website. So you can actually go there and check. I didn't upload it for a few days, so I'm going to actually, right after I do this video, so this video is uploading. By the time this video is uploaded, the current version of my Creeks file is going to be up. So you can actually trace my project, my progress, because then you can just try to download it tomorrow, because I'll probably be uploading it every few days, or maybe every day. But yeah, the rivers, I have the lakes there, and the rivers, and so right there on my page now, you know, I have the ancient. I have the ground without, just in terrain without civilization file that you can download. It's all together on that page. All of the animals of Rocky Mountain National Park, all of them of Boulder County, and then all of the rivers and lakes of Boulder County. And then, of course, and then all the other stuff like coolars, and then mountains, and all the Strava, yeah. So that's why it'll take 6 months to finish all this. Okay, that's enough talking, my God. I'm going to get going back onto my stuff now. Okay, talk to you tomorrow, hopefully.